What if my videos were all AI going forward? Would we even know the difference? Like, who would know the real me versus AI me? That's a scary thought. It has nothing to do with fantasy football. But on that note, let's talk about fantasy football. Week 8 start sits around the entire league. We already covered Thursday night already. So if you didn't watch that video, make sure you go check that one out. We're going to cover every single matchup otherwise, so Sunday and Monday night games. Let's roll the intro. Let's just get the first 1 o'clock game out the way. Jets versus Bengals. This is going to be a game that you're going to want to start your Bengals wide receivers, obviously. You can start Joe Flacco if you're in need of a streaming option. I'm definitely going to give you the green light to start both of these running backs. Chase Brown may not be the best matchup against the New York Jets, but I would have a really tough time saying that there are more than 20 running backs that'll finish this week ahead of Chase Brown. So I like Chase Brown in this matchup, and I also think that Breece Hall must be started, but we all knew this already. If you're looking for a tight end to play in this matchup of the Jets and Bengals, I'm going to probably say only Mason Taylor if you're desperate. I got to be honest, I think Mason Taylor's production this week against the Bengals is probably going to look a lot closer to what Noah Fant is going to do for Cincinnati versus what we've seen out of Mason Taylor in weeks past. I think if you play in DFS or you want to get a cheap tight end on a budget, Noah Fant could be a really good option. This is a matchup that bodes well for him, and he's seen 4 targets in each of the 2 games. Joe Flacco was the starting quarterback, so that's something to keep in mind. I'm not looking to start a defense or kicker in this matchup, but you can play Evan McPherson. If anyone's going to be good, that's definitely the one. Let's keep it moving along. Let's talk about the Carolina Panthers versus the Buffalo Bills this weekend. And more importantly, let's just talk the running backs in the room here. Who are we ranking over the other? Are we ranking Rico Dowdle? Are we ranking Chuba Hubbard? Who's going to be the guy that we want to play this week? And honestly, because we know that they're both healthy now and they are both going to get plenty of snaps in this game and opportunities, we have to take them down just a little bit from where we were ranking them. Rico Dowdle was an RB1 when Chuba Hubbard was not around. Now we need to look at Rico Dowdle as a back-end, low-end RB2 now. And Chuba Hubbard would find himself somewhere right around this range, probably at like a top 25 running back this week, I would say. But nonetheless, because both of them are back, it's going to bring down the value of each of them individually, and that's going to make it tougher to start either one of them. But they're both low-end RB starts this week. You can't really go wrong with playing one of them. But one of these guys could potentially get all of the work, and you could be left holding the bag with 0. James Cook is coming off of a bye week, and what was before that a bad matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. James Cook finds himself again in a bad matchup against the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to say that you're not going to see 8 points from him this week. But again, if you don't see 22 points from James Cook, don't tell me I didn't warn you that this is not the matchup to be expecting this. Talent is going to win out at the end of the day, and that's why I feel like James Cook still needs to be in our starting lineups. And the same thing goes for Dalton Kincaid. This is clearly the tight end that is running away with the job here. This is a solid tight end play every single week now. And where the talent does not win out on this Buffalo Bills team, unfortunately, week to week, is the wide receiver position. And while many people tried to tell me that Keon Coleman would have a breakout season, still waiting to hear back if you're in the comments or watching somewhere. I will not be advising you start any Buffalo Bills wide receivers in this game. You can start Ted McMillan. I would probably say he's going to find himself probably somewhere out of the top 20, unfortunately. This was a player we expected to have, top 15 wide receiver potential the rest of the season. And it's kind of just not working out. And maybe in part due to quarterback play or just the offense doesn't score enough. If we're looking to hunt special teams in this matchup, we are definitely going Bills defense and Bills kicker and staying away from the Carolina Panthers side of the ball. Let's continue. The 49ers play the Texans this weekend, and while this shouldn't be a good matchup for George Kittle, and he's coming off of a horrible week last week on Sunday Night Football, you do need to still play him just because there's nobody to throw the football to. But this isn't a good matchup, so temper your expectations with George Kittle this week. I'm probably not starting any of the San Francisco wide receivers, but if there was one to play, I would definitely say it's Kendrick Bourne over the rest. And the reason for that is the Texans defense is actually low-key good. We just don't know it yet because they've had their bye week recently. We don't get to see them enough. Christian McCaffrey obviously must be started in this game. I'm probably not going to start any of the quarterbacks, and I don't think this is a week where you can roll out Woody Marks with confidence either. As you all know, there is no Nico Collins in this game. If there was any Texans wide receiver I could say that you could play, it's Jalen Noel, but I don't really feel that great about telling you to play Jalen Noel. I'm just telling you that if you were going to play one of them because you needed a start, Jalen Noel. This will be a good one. The Giants and Eagles are going to play again after playing a couple weeks ago on Thursday Night Football, and it was a phenomenal game. The Eagles are going to be looking to get their lick back. Let's just call it what it is. I thought the first time around, Jackson Dart was an okay play at quarterback if you needed it against the Eagles, but what I noticed is that this may not be such a great matchup for him. You can play him if you're desperate, but I wouldn't call Jackson Dart one of the 12 best quarterbacks you could start this week. Cam Scatterboo and Saquon Barkley are RB1s this week. Whether that's high-end or low-end RB1, they must be started, no doubt about it. We won't know for sure if A.J. Brown is playing or not until this video is posted, unfortunately, but what I will say is that I'm going to say that A.J. Brown is going to play, actually, and I think that he should be started, though it's been a disappointing season. It is starting to trend in the right way for A.J. Brown, though, so if you traded for him, great job. I said Devontae Smith was going to be the guy that was going to break out when they played on Thursday night. And if it wasn't for Jalen Hurts overthrowing him wide open for a touchdown, I would have been right. But guess what? I'm not right. But I'm going to double down on it and say, start Devontae Smith again. I understand Jalen Hurts doesn't throw for 250 plus passing yards anymore, but you got to play these guys because there is an opportunity for the Giants to give up a lot of points and yards in this game. The Giants are 23rd in fantasy points allowed to wide receivers, so this is one of the 10 best teams that you could play if you have a wide receiver that's going up against his defense. And just because of the nature of both of these defenses, I'm a little scared to play either one of them, but if I had to choose one, I would definitely go Philadelphia. Kicker, I will not take the Giants kicker for that one. I'm sorry. I know it's going to be Graham Gano and not the kid that missed the field goal last week, but I don't want any part in that. Browns Patriots now. We all know there's only one quarterback you can start in this matchup. That would be Drake May. Ramondre Stevenson must be started, even though it doesn't make sense why Travion Henderson is still not touching the ball in this offense. Both of these wide receiver rooms are cooked if Stephon Diggs does not play. Stephon Diggs is the only wide receiver I would consider starting in this matchup. If he, for some reason, is out, then I would upgrade Boutte and make him the one wide receiver you can play for the Patriots. But otherwise, you want the tight ends in this one. Harold Fannin Jr. and Hunter Henry. These are the guys you want to start. Now let's move on to Bears vs. Ravens, and this should be the get-right game for Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. They've had their last two games not really connecting or being on the same page, missing a couple throws. I would expect against this bad of a defense, this would be the get-right game for Caleb and also for Rome Odunze. If DeAndre Swift is active, we're obviously starting him. If for some reason he's not ready to go, Kyle Monangai must be started, but even if Swift is playing, let's keep an eye on Kyle Monangai because we don't really know how much he's going to be utilized in this offense or not. If Lamar Jackson does end up giving it a go, Zay Flowers is now again a must-start wide receiver. I know we forget how quickly he's disappeared in terms of fantasy relevance, but he was a phenomenal wide receiver to start when you had Lamar Jackson every single week. I would expect that to continue yet again when Lamar comes back. He's got to throw the football to somebody in this offense. And if things don't go well for Zay Flowers in this game, it's probably going to be because Derrick Henry is a very favorable matchup. And this is probably the first time in a while that I'm going to definitely say that Derrick Henry's got to finish between this top 3, top 5 running backs this week. I think there will be a lot of points scored in this game, so I'm probably going to stay away from either of the defenses unless you're going to play hoping that you can get the turnovers in this matchup because there will be turnovers in this game potentially, even if Lamar is in or out of this game. And if you're going to start one of these defenses, you're really just banking on a pick six, so I wouldn't do that. Now, let's talk the Miami Dolphins versus the Atlanta Falcons. I think this is a must-start. Top 5, maybe even top 1 game for Drake London this week. He has a great matchup and should go off. I would keep an eye on Devon Achane. This is somebody that is matchup proof, always absolutely delivers in fantasy for us. This is a tough matchup though. The Atlanta Falcons are stingy to running backs. And while normally Devon Achane would be considered matchup proof, I just saw a couple weeks ago what they did to James Cook, while I did see Christian McCaffrey go off, there is a tale of two sides where they could either take the running back out of the game completely or have the latter, Christian McCaffrey, runs absolutely bananas on them. For the wide receiver position, you can start Jalen Waddle, but I would temper expectations. As I just mentioned, this Atlanta Falcons defense is very good. And if I'm talking about this Atlanta Falcons defense like they're the 1985 Bears for some reason, it's because I want you to start them in fantasy this week. They're playing the Dolphins. And because I like to give my viewers the best fantasy football information. Falcons versus Dolphins. It's in a dome. Feel good about the kickers in this one. Speaking of dome environments, the New Orleans Saints are playing the Tampa Bay Bucs in a division matchup. And again, it's in a dome. We like our kickers in this one. I mean, Chase McLaughlin could hit from 60 yards outside. Only imagine what they could do without any wind. But let's talk real fantasy players here. That's what you're here for. Rachaad White should be a top 10 running back this week in fantasy. I'm a little hesitant about playing Alvin Kamara. But similar, as I mentioned, to Chase Brown, it would really be tough to find 20 other running backs that are going to be definitely better than Alvin Kamara this week. So you do have to play him, but I would be a little hesitant on it. If Emeka Egbuka is active, he could go nuclear and be the wide receiver one that surpasses Drake London that I predicted. And Chris Olave should potentially have one of the best games he's going to have this season, so definitely don't leave Chris Olave on your benches this week. Baker Mayfield seems like he's ready to go, so you got to be starting him. And him being in the lineup means we got to give K-Dot another run at the starting tight end role. 4 more games. We got this, guys. If you made it this far into the video, smash the like button so I know that a real one stuck around and watched this entire video. The Dallas Cowboys versus the Denver Broncos. And I have a little secret to tell you guys. Something that you may not see coming until after it's already happened. But Dak Prescott is not going to have a good game this week. I'm calling it right now as a Cowboys fan. The games this team is supposed to win, they never win. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Javonte Williams, they still have to be started accordingly, and that goes for Jake Ferguson as well. How could I forget about the number 1 tight end in fantasy right now? For the Denver Broncos, Bo Nix is absolutely going to shred. My favorite quarterback in the league is going to put on a laser light show this weekend. You could come back here and roast me if I'm wrong. I could just be a little biased for Bo Nix, but hey, I'm a fan. It is what it is. For the running backs position for the Denver Broncos, J.K. Dobbins should have a really good game, but I like R.J. Harvey in his complementary role to, I know it was a very late touchdown scored against the Giants. There should be a pathway or opportunity where this game gets out of hand for the Dallas Cowboys and they're down big, and R.J. Harvey gets to show just a little bit of what he's capable of. Not saying he's gonna get double-digit carries. Maybe he only gets 6 or 7. Maybe he only gets 2 or 3 receptions. But they're gonna look good when you see them. Can you play the kickers in this matchup? Absolutely. It's going to be points galore in this matchup. Potentially, as long as Dak doesn't, discombobulate like I think he may. And you were never starting the Cowboys defense. But I'm not really considering the Broncos either. There's 2 pathways. One where you get 20-something points. The other one where you get -2. I'd rather just find someone who's going to get me 8 points, to be honest. Unless my opponent is projected to whoop me by 25, 30 points, I don't feel the need to take a big shot like that with the Denver Broncos defense. Now let's move on to Titans versus Colts. This is going to be an interesting game. Definitely starting the Colts defense. You're definitely starting everyone on the Colts offense in this one. And you're probably not starting any Tennessee Titan unless they're named Tony Pollard or, I think that might just be it, to be honest. Jonathan Taylor was not leaving your lineup. Daniel Jones was not leaving your lineup. And Michael Pittman Jr. should be in that territory as well this week against the Titans. Sunday Night Football. Steelers versus the Packers. Rodgers versus the Packers. How could you not be excited? While I may not think Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks you can start this week, I think you could do much worse than him if you were desperate. So I would give him the green light if you really needed to start somebody. Jordan Love should have a good game against the Steelers. Their defense, the Steelers I'm talking about, is not very good, and it's really susceptible to the tight end position. And oh, would you look at that? Tucker Kraft is normally a must-start tight end. Now we're going to have to upgrade him to a, top 2, top 3 tight end this week. Josh Jacobs, he cannot come out of your lineup. If you're going to play a Packers wide receiver, Romeo Doubs if you play in a PPR league. Otherwise, not really a fan of playing Matthew Golden or anybody else. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think DK Metcalf could be in for a monstrous week, maybe one of his better weeks. And are we going to start any of the kickers or defenses in this game? I'm going to say you can play both the kickers. I would stay away from the defenses, even though the Packers defense has been really good all year. Monday Night Football, Commanders versus Chiefs. And I think I got to be honest here. I don't really want to play any of the running backs in this one. Maybe Isaiah Pacheco, but Bill does not have a great matchup against the Chiefs. I would leave him on your bench. Pretty much everyone on the Washington Commanders gets downgraded on offense, except I'll leave Zach Ertz right about the same. You can't really get much lower than we already rank him, meaning that I still don't love Zach Ertz as a starting option, but Travis Kelce is definitely a great starting option. And for the Kansas City Chiefs, I know I didn't mention many of the starting quarterbacks to be must start, but obviously all of the great quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes and many others must be started on every single week. And I'm upgrading Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy in this matchup. The Washington Commanders secondary is very exposable. We saw CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens both have really good games against them. So I like their opportunities in this matchup. And if I'm starting a kicker or defense, I definitely like the Chiefs defense in this one. You can definitely play Butker at kicker, one of the better options this week. But I'm not going to play the Washington Commanders kicker. And that's going to wrap up every matchup in Week 8. It feels so good to be back. I'm so glad to be kicking back and talking football with you guys. If you made it this far into the video, first and foremost, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. It means the absolute world to me that you took the time out of your day, sat down and watched this entire video. That's special to me. So if you're new here and you like fantasy football content, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss any future content on this channel. And if you're already subscribed, Outlier Militia, I see you. Smash that like button for your boy. Did I completely whiff? Did I not cook at all with this matchup list? Or did I cook? Let me know in the comments. If you have any start-sit questions that I did not really answer in this entire video and you're still unsure, drop your comments down below. I make sure I get back to each and every one of you as fast as I can. And that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Turtle. This is Outlier Fantasy. And I will see you in the next video. Wow, you stuck to the end of this video? Thank you so much. If you're new here, make sure you check out one of these videos on the screen right now. And don't forget, before you leave, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any fantasy football videos on this channel. And that's all I got for you guys. I'll see you in the next one.